Hello, this video is about the flat earth and Armageddon. Armageddon is the battle for the mind. Many of you are familiar with Paul's letter to the Thessalonians, where he says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, "The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved." I think the revelation of the flat earth is an end-time revelation. People who have been seeking the truth are the ones who are finding out about the flat earth. The people who have been satisfied to wallow in the deception are the ones who are not finding it. Paul also told us to take every thought captive. Many people are expecting World War III and the Battle of Armageddon. But is the Battle of Armageddon really just the battle for our minds? It was over 2 years ago that the Lord gave me a revelation about Armageddon, and it was way before He revealed the flat earth to me. That's only been 2 weeks. I want to read something that I posted over 2 years ago. Actually, it's been over 3 years. It says, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs, for they are demonic spirits, performing signs, who go abroad to the kings of the whole world, to assemble them to battle on the great day of God the Almighty. Behold, I am coming like a thief. Blessed is the one who stays awake, keeping his garments on, that he may not go about naked and be seen exposed. And they assemble them at the place that in Hebrew is called Armageddon." That's from Revelation chapter 16, verses 12 through 16. I believe that it's unclean spirits that have disguised themselves as aliens, for example. And the whole round earth cosmology is what has allowed people to think that there could possibly be aliens. But now that we know that that we live on a flat earth, the alien deception is over. So is the Planet X deception, the Nibiru deception. Those are gone now. Well, this study all began with a dream given to my youngest daughter 3 years ago, which prompted my wife and me to consider Armageddon in more detail. In the dream, my daughter and some others strategized and killed Armageddon, who was at that time the most evil person in all the earth. After the assassination, Armageddon's followers determined to kill everyone involved in that conspiracy, but they could not kill these people, these saints of God, directly. Instead, they had to somehow take control of their minds and bring them to the point where they would kill themselves, where they would suicide themselves. They did not want to kill the conspirators themselves for political reasons. Does this all sound a little familiar? These demons then captured my daughter and her sister. By the way, my daughter at that time was 21 years old, and her sister was 24. They stood before them. The demons stood before my daughters to strike fear into them. But my younger daughter told them, "You're not going to get me to commit suicide." And then she awoke. My wife and I both believed the dream to be prophetic, so we attempted to understand it. And here's what we finally came up with. And that's what I'm going to be going through now for this video and perhaps another or two. There are only a few references to Megiddo in Scripture, but we believe they shed light on this dream and the mysterious concept from the book of Revelation. The first mentions of Megiddo in the Bible reveal that it was a Canaanite city given to the tribe of Manasseh. Joshua 17, verses 11 and 12 show that Manasseh could not drive out the Canaanites in Megiddo, but that they persisted in dwelling in that land. Now this is our first clue. Megiddo is a Canaanite stronghold. And looking to the last verse in the book of Zechariah, one of the prophets, we read, "Yes, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts." That's Zechariah 14:21. Now, some new versions of the Bible translate Canaanite with the word trader or merchant. If you read Revelation chapter 18, especially verses 11 through 24, you see that that deals with the destruction of the Canaanites or the merchants in the day of the Lord in Babylon. So Megiddo relates to a Canaanite spirit of making merchandise of all things, including the souls of men, which we read in Revelation 18:13. That Babylon trades in the souls of men. And that's what we're dealing with here is our soul. So let's go on. The next important thing we see related to Megiddo occurs in Judges 5, which records the song of Deborah and Barak. Verse 5:19 says, "The kings came and fought, then fought the kings of Canaan in Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo. They took no gain of money." Judges 5:19. Now, earlier verses of the song reveal that these kings who came to fight were the remnant of the noble people of the Lord. They came to fight the kings of Canaan at the area known as Megiddo. Now, in Scripture, the remnant typically refers to God's overcomers. Now, these are the ones whom God chooses among all that he calls. There's various words or phrases in Scripture that refer to the overcomers, like the bride of Christ, the sons of God, for example. And if you read Revelation chapters 2 and 3, you'll see that the letters to the 7 churches that Christ wrote through his prophet John are all addressed to the overcomers. So there's 7 different churches, and then there's seven different promises given to overcomers. I believe that those promises are promises to every overcomer. An overcomer is another word for a faithful servant of God, a faithful servant of our Father in heaven, a faithful servant of our Creator. God gave the victory to his overcomers at that time at Megiddo against the Canaanite strongholds. Remember from your past reading of Scripture and studies that you've done that all historical events recorded in the Bible serve as spiritual parables relating to future events. Now, this idea of a parable is extremely important. If you don't understand what a parable is, then let me briefly explain it to you. A parable is a true historical event, a true story that has prophetic significance. That is, that it speaks about something in the future, something that's going to happen in the future. I believe that this song of Deborah's records a parable concerning events having to do with my daughter's dream and these days that we live in. The historical account of Jael killing Sisera, which culminated in the victory over these Canaanite kings, sheds much light on this, and we're going to be discussing that next. And that will be in the next video in this series.